Okay, everybody, welcome back to Biodiversity Boutiques and Stepping Stones Montessori School. Today we're going to do mollusk, soft-bodied mollusk. And we have a whole bunch of things to show you today. So I'm going to start off with kind of telling you what I think a mollusk is all about. And then we're going to show different groups of mollusks to you and pass them around. And then we're going to look through microscopes. And then finally we're going to do some dissections. So you looked at the dissections and they are squid and the clam, right? So I got a lot of stories. And I have my helpers here today. I have Courtney over here, former student, and Brad, a current student, and they're going to help with the actual microscopes and preparing some of the dissections for you. So first of all, what's a mollusk? Does anybody know what a mollusk is?
They're like octopi, squid.
Octopi and squid, okay, that's one group. It's kind of a small group, but it's a really smart group, isn't it?
There's the bivalves.
The bivalves, those are the clams. Okay, anybody else?
Cephalopods.
Cephalopods, okay, those are the octopus and the others, the squids and cuttlefish.
They're gastropods.
Gastropods, that's the biggest group, right? They're huge. There are, maybe 60,000 species of those out there. That's a lot. So that's way too many for me. I wouldn't know all those.
Then there's the chitons.
The chitons?
The chitons.
Yep. Those are kind of cool, and they're kind of primitive looking.
And then there's the
Epacoflora,
yeah.
okay. We have another name for those now, but yeah, that's one that doesn't have much in the way of a shell. So let me tell you what I think they pretty much all have, all right? And then we'll go from there. So up on the board, I drew some letters that actually make words. And we're looking at the phylum Mollusca up here. And here's kind of a fancy word. I'm going to go first. This is called coelom. A coelom. A coelom is a cavity. So when you did dissections before, this is your cavity, right? If I cut you open and I opened you up like a barn door, you'd have a big cavity, and inside that cavity you would have your lungs and your heart and your diaphragm and your intestines. That's the cavity, right? So these guys are one of the first groups to have a cavity. They call that cavity a coelom. That just means cavity. So all these guys, all the ones we're talking about today, have a cavity, but it's very reduced. In some of these groups, it's a tiny little cavity around the heart or maybe around the intestines. So it's not a beautiful cavity like we've got. So it's kind of been adjusted by evolution to how they live. They have a mantle, which is a special, like a drape-like tissue that encloses a whole animal. So if I had a mantle, it'd be like a cloak over me. And that mantle makes the shell. It secretes the shell, and it protects the animal. And in some cases, it helps it feed. In other cases, it helps make little siphons that come out from it. So those are pretty complicated. And they have a big muscular foot. I'm going to show you all kinds of variations on this foot. That's what they crawl on, or they dig with, or sometimes they even capture prey with it. And then finally, they have a radula. That's how you pronounce that, radula. That is, you guys know what a file looks like, right? When you file wood, it's got teeth on it. That looks exactly like a radula. And many of the groups, not all of them, but many of them have this radula. So if you're going to look at a mollusk, you'd say, well, they're kind of soft-bodied. A lot of them have shells. They have a full coelom, which is unique now, as we go up through the animal groups here. And they have a mantle, which covers the whole body. And they have a foot, which is used for all sorts of purposes, to dig into the substratum of the ocean or the soil of the riverbed. And then they also have a radula, which is used to scrape. Now, why would you use a radula? Anybody have any idea what you'd use it for?
To scrape the shells off food.
Yeah, so if you've ever seen a snail, going up the glass in a tank, you can see this tongue-like thing that comes out and rolls back. There's a muscle that makes it go out. Another muscle makes it go back. And it scrapes the side of the tank. In some cases, it scrapes the algae off the side of the tank. And in other cases, they're kind of like for predators. So you're going to see that our squid today actually has a radula. It also has a beak. Have you guys ever seen a beak in a squid? Okay. In a giant squid, they're huge. They would probably eat you guys like popcorn. But And our little squids today, and we got these from Lee's Market. I highly recommend them because they have the best squid, I think, for our purposes. She may not like that, but I'll show you how you can cook them later on, and you can eat them if you're hungry for squid. They're very, very good, you know, deep fried. You like squid? You've had squid? Well, see? So I'll show you how to do that. Maybe you have a recipe you can share with me, right? All right. Now, all these mollusks, this is the second biggest diverse group on our planet. The most diverse is Arthropoda. Arthropodans are the mites and the ticks and the chiggers and the butterflies and all those things that have jointed legs. There's millions of species of those. But we have hundreds of thousands of species of mollusks because so many aren't known to science yet. They haven't been classified, remember? We're going to identify some today, but we're not going to classify anything. So I'm going to start off with a relative of a mollusk today, and these are the segmented worms. Now, you know segmented worms because you've seen the European earthworm, which is now all over North America, right? So this is a segmented worm, and I'm just going to pass around the Petri dish, and later on we're going to look at it. But this one has these little tiny chitinous little seedy on it, and I don't want to hurt them, so I'm just going to... Yeah, very much. So we'll pass this around pretty quickly, as soon as I can get him out of here. And you can see it looks like he's soft-bodied. So don't be afraid. You want to pass it around. Don't eat it. Okay. I know if you guys haven't had lunch. There's a couple in there. Aren't they cool? Yeah. They have little tiny like flippers on the side. They're called Parapodia, and then they got these chetae that stick out, and they're very sharp and bristly. And Brad has been struck by these several times. And fish that eat them get them all around their snout over here around their mouth, and they kind of stick out like little fuzzy things, you know, but they eat them anyway. So aren't those cool? Now those are soft-bodied too, right? You might not believe this, but there are mollusks that are worm-like. They look not quite like that, but they're worm-like, and they kind of live similar to those things in burrows in the substratum of the ocean. Yes?
Are those the monoplecophorans?
No, those are a little different, but I'll get to those in a minute, but it's kind of like that. So these guys are really cool because I guess they're easy to breed. Is that right? Yeah. And you can see the relationships here. Now, the relationship isn't because of what this looks like, it's because of what the larva is. Now, who knows what the larva of a butterfly looks like? What do we call it?
Caterpillar?
A caterpillar. And the larva of a fly?
Maggot?
Maggot or a grub. And a beetle, more likely a grub. We have common names for them, but we know that they're related because the maggots and the grubs and the caterpillars kind of look alike. But does a beetle look like a butterfly? No. No. Well, the same thing is true here. These guys have a little larva called the trochophore. And so do some of the mollusks. They have a trochophore too. So we know they're united and they share a common ancestor. But they don't look much like mollusks now, do they? Except that they're soft-bodied. So we're going to look at this thing again soon because I want you to look at the setae here and also the parapodia that stick out, all right? Now we're going to talk about different kinds of groups of these animals here. So let's go over here. I'll bring some up. Now this, I can't pass this around because it's too heavy. This is a huge chitin. Lots of times you can find chitins in these intertidal pools. If you go to Cancun, you should probably ask your mom and dad if you can go there this winter, you know, and check out the intertidal pools. You'll find little chitins around here, but this is a big one. This is the Gumboot Titan. And you can see here it's got the big foot right down the middle. It's a huge foot. And on the side is this big muscular-like tissue, the mantle. So the mantle surrounds the foot, and the foot's in the middle. And the foot is going to crawl, right? Like that. So I'll put this right over here, and you guys, I don't think you should lift it up, but you can look at it. On the back of it are 8 shells. Sometimes they call them butterfly shells, but there's usually 8. Sometimes there's 7, but almost always there's 8. So I'm going to pass a few little ones around for you right here. These are chitins too, and it's spelled C-H-I-T-O-N. The C-H-I is pronounced chi. So there's one for you, and here's one for you. And they're very nice shells, actually, but they break up when the animal dies, and they wash up on on the beach, and then you look at them and say, oh, it looks like a butterfly. So they call them butterfly shells.
Are these ones alive?
No, these are all dead. These are all preserved. So they're really kind of pretty, and if you go to a tidal pool, you will see that on the rocks, if you look really carefully, there's these chitons all over the place. You might not have seen them before, but if you look at them and try to find them, you'll see them, and they're crawling very slowly, especially in the daytime. So there's quite a few of those, but not that many. So those are called Polyplacophora. That's the class term. Poly means many, placo means plate. So you said aplacophora. Those are the ones that don't have one. Now there's other kinds of weird looking mollusks that you may not be used to. These are Scaphopoda. These are the tusk shells or the two shells. And some of the Native Americans in our Northwest would, collect these shells, and they would make long mail here. You guys ever see that? Native Americans pictures? They'll have all kinds of shells here. A lot of them are tusk shells. The more important you are, the more tusk shells you get. So they only gave me one, so I guess, not that important. But anyway, pass it around. Yes, and that one has like little tentacles. It doesn't even have a head. I mean, it lost its head somewhere. Who knows where? Yes?
Aren't tusk shells like 6 inches long?
Yeah, this is about that, and there's not that many species of them. They're not real big, and they kind of sit down there with the big end out, waiting for food, buried kind of in the sand. All right, here's some other ones here. These are all the Gastropoda. The gastropods are your snails and your limpets and the conchs and whelks and all the other things that you probably collect. It's a huge group. So I'm going to pass some of these around. This is a really cool one, these limpets here. These are Keystone Limpets. And you can see if you look at that, you can see a pretty pattern that goes around. And over here we have a nudibranch. It's kind of lost its color. They're very, very pretty. Slugs are in the same group. Anybody step on a slug recently? This summer maybe? They kind of squish between your toes, don't they?
No.
Yeah. And they have all that slime they crawl on. So they're not my favorite, but they're okay, right? And we have a snail here with its foot out. You can see its foot out. And it says bilateral on here. Remember when we talked about bilateral, we talked about you could divide the whole body in half, right? So if I cut myself in half, I have equal sides, don't I? One arm over here, one arm over there. You look at this and you think, is that bilateral? Would you ask or tell me if that is? Do you think that's bilateral?
Kind of bilateral.
Yeah,
It's
but
got 2 little dudes in the front.
okay, so the animal's bilateral, but the shell is coiled, right?
Yeah.
So how can I coil a shell? Can I coil it this way? Can I go like this?
No.
I could. There's some snails like that. Could I coil it and then bring it out this way?
Yeah.
Can I coil it and bring it out this way?
Yeah.
So I can have shells that are coiled to the left, to the right, or in one plane, right? So if I have it coiled to the left or the right, if I'm doing a yoga position, don't I throw my balance off a little bit?
Yeah.
So I shift my whole body over to the other side so that when I'm crawling, my shell sticks to this side, but most of my weight of my body is on this side. So here's what they do. Because they look like these chitons as larvae, and what they do is they take their whole body and they go through this torsion. They twist around. And they lose, a kidney and part of their coelom when they do that. Nobody knows why they do that, but they do that. It's called torsion. So coiling is not the same as torsion. The torsion is twisting the whole body around. Strange, isn't it? Okay. So here's some more. Here's a big foot on this one here. This is the limpet. Remember the shell I just gave you? Okay, now look at the foot here. You can check that. It looks like the chitin foot, but that's not a chitin. Here's one of my favorites, just the Murex. You ever see these? They've done a lot of studies on these. The things that prey on these can't get their little, the little lobster claws or whatever preys on them around here to break the shell. Yes, go ahead.
I'm doing a report on the Phoenicians, and they got their purple dye from Murex shells.
Seriously, I did not know that. So, see, this is very synergistic here today. These are really pretty shells. I'm going to actually have you look these up in the book over here. There's one over there. Do you have many ones of those? Those are beautiful, aren't they? What do you think of this? What does that look like? What kind of colors?
Mother of pearl.
Do you see these in anything in nature or in the sky sometimes after a rainstorm?
Yeah, rainbow.
Rainbow abalone. Isn't that pretty? So this is the mother of pearl right here, mother of pearl. And they used to make buttons out of shells. I think even the fancier clothes still do make buttons out of them. Excuse me. In fact, in Grand Rapids here, along the river, the Grand River and the Thornapple especially, that was clam central for Kent County. And what they used to do is they would harvest all these freshwater clams, and you have pictures in Cascade of piles, just massive piles of these clam shells. The animals are all dead. I don't know what they did with them. I think they fertilized their corn with them or something. But they took these, they would send them to New England or to England, and they would make buttons out of these. So this is one of my favorite. This is abalone, you know, abalone, some people say, but it's really pretty. Look inside there. All right, now, yes?
Does a limpet have an eye?
Well, they don't really have a well-developed eye here. They have sensory areas here, but they don't really have a true eye. What about this one?
Helmet?
Isn't that nice? This is like a conch or a whelk. They're in the same families, but I'm going to pass that around. That's a big one, though, isn't it? Yeah. You can almost use that as a weapon, right?
Yeah.
In the parking lot? Yeah, don't think about that. Here's even a better weapon, though. Look at this one. This is a spider conch. Look, it's even got a grip on it. See? Don't mess with me, right? So these are pretty cool. And there's lots of species of these things. They're very pretty. You see this mother of pearl layer here? It's very hard. So people buy these shells in the market, you know. They're not really rare or anything, but the oceans are under stress, so it's probably not a good idea to do too much with that.
This is heavy.
Isn't that heavy? And this one is what?
Conch?
A conch. A pink conch.
You've got one.
And some of these get huge. You know, when you go to the Bahamas, if you ever go snorkeling, you'll see that they crawl like this. They go like this. Why do they crawl like that? Because their shell's so heavy, right? It's like, oh. So they get to this large size, and you can tell when they're mature because they'll have a ridge here. It's very shiny. It's very, very pretty. Now, there's one thing you can do with a conch shell, and that one over there. What can you do?
No in it.
Can you?
Use it as a horn. Yeah.
And what else can you do? Put this to your ear.
Listen to the ocean.
Okay, why do you listen to the ocean?
I don't know, because you want to.
Go ahead.
Because the way the air circulates in it.
The air circulates in it?
Stays in.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty good. It kind of captures the noise of the room, and it channels it into this funnel, it magnifies it, and comes back out. People used to say that it was your heart that would race and you would hear your heart sound. But really, you know, if you did a lot of exercise, it should be even louder, right? But it doesn't turn louder. And if you went to a room where there's more noise, you'll hear more waves. So it's probably the noise in the room. We call it the ambient noise. It goes in there. Can you hear the ocean? Do you think you can hear it if you put a cup over your ear?
No.
Yeah. Same thing. It magnifies it, you know? Did you guys ever do that when you were little kids?
Yeah,
Have a little cup and then a wire and another
Oh,
cup?
yeah.
Say hello. You could probably do that with conch shells.
It goes in this one too.
Yeah, the animal goes in there. It's just one valve, one half. Just one half.
You can hear the ocean.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to have you do now. We're going to go to these different microscopes and you're going to look at things. For example, Brad, you've brought in some egg cases, right? Yep. And you brought in some more of the worms. We have the bristles from the worms. We have snails. You can see the actual foot and the cover that's called the operculum. It actually pops out and then the snail comes out, you know. And if you look at the snail, you'll see it's kind of like a worm too. Obviously, if it's going up this coil, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Some of these gastropods, some of these snails, are hosts for very serious diseases in the world. And they're hosts for different kinds of flukes that cause misery for hundreds of millions of people. And then they invade human tissue, and of course, they cause great amounts of disease, but they also hurt the snails. So, you know, some people suggested, well, we should get rid of all the snails, then we'll get rid of the disease, right? Because they live in fresh water. But then all these other animals depend on the snails, so it's kind of really messing up Mother Nature, right? Thank you. You don't want to throw this? Yeah, I knew you would. All right, so let's go around to these tables here, and Courtney and Brad will help you, and I will help you look at these things. And then when we come back, we're going to do a clam dissection, and we're going to do a squid dissection. But I've got some clams I want to show you. Okay, so we'll just leave these here if you want to look at them. But you can challenge yourself by looking up some of these different mollusks in the book. I have one there, and there's others over here you can look at. And then we'll meet back here in a few minutes, okay? Still here? Yeah?
Why the bigger the shells, the lower the
Yes, yes, that is correct. Because it's just lower, it's a bigger aperture, and so when the sound comes back out, it's much lower wavelengths. Yeah. So go ahead, you guys, you can go look. Check the microscopes out. Anyone you want, it's up to you. You just help yourself.
Take a look. Rachel, look at the scopes that are on. Look at this guy, flipping him as he's moving.
Isn't that cool? Now watch the bristles. You can see the little gills or little finger-like things that are.
Which isn't really what we're talking about, but it's still kind of cool looking. And then there's a chitin over here, and actually in this scope over here, there's a chitin that's
They
flipped
do.
over. And when you play with the
Open and
light, it
close, that's
reacts
correct.
a little bit, and so you can see it squinch up a little and straighten back
I
out.
put that on that page because I thought maybe you'd see one of these. You think?
You can, here, let's move the chair down.
Yeah. Well, what's this one say here?
Which one are you looking at? The limpets?
4.3 inches.
Or the
So I'm
chitin?
thinking
The
about
chitin's the one
about
that's
4.3 inches.
longer and it's kind of flattened out like that. Is he moving at all?
Adjust them unless they.
Here, let's
See
see
the
if we can get
patterns
him. I'm not
changing?
even sure it's
They all kind of the same
Let me see
shape,
if
but the
it's on
patterns
him.
are really different.
I know he's moving, but he was well adjusted and clear.
Let's see if I can get him to
Well,
move
look,
for
it
you.
says
Because
snail
it looks
babies and
really
insects.
cool when he does.
Put on
No,
the extra
but
light
you know,
underneath.
in a few minutes I'm going to talk about variation. Maybe there's some variation.
Watch him for a second now. See if he moves.
Like that. Is it better or worse?
No, could be. You can look through the book if you want. That could be that.
Of course, he won't do it on command. He's being stubborn.
Not as connected. That just shows you a lot of different variations in the shell because it looks perfect, but it's really not very perfect. Aren't those cool? Brad breeds all these things.
Does he?
Yeah.
So the ones that have like a little vent, question, are they born with those are the limpets?
Pardon?
The other ones, there's just one in there.
No shell at first. It actually goes to the larval stage and then they secrete it, like the clams
I
do.
think it's focused on the chitin right now.
I like the snail.
What do you think?
Yeah, those look
Do
cool.
you have a
Can you
good
see it?
vision of him?
You can see the snail
Yeah, you can
babies
see
on
it?
the inside.
Did you see the
Yeah,
other
they
little
pop
things
out.
floating around
Yes.
in there?
Yeah.
The little water fleas?
Oh, here. Let me just
Pretty
quickly.
cool, huh?
These are the bristles.
Do you keep
These are the
them in
bristles on
freshwater?
that worm.
These are actually saltwater. Brad, over there in the black shirt, he actually has a saltwater tank at home
There,
and he
now
brought
look
all
at
these
that.
in for us.
You guys, when you look at this one here, this shows damage to a shell. And if you want to look at it before we go back, you can see that there's different layers of the shell. So I'll put this under here, and you can see the holes, and try to tell me how many layers you think there are.
Do layers
Okay.
signify years?
No. No.
So
The
unlike
size-
trees.
No, not like that. But you can look at the rings. That kind of tells you the age because there's growth rings in the clams.
Turtles, the turtle shells, they have other rings, age.
Yeah, you can kind of tell the age of them. Isn't that cool?
There's like a little mouth.
Look at, they're pretty cute, aren't they?
There's like a little mouth on there.
You can adjust that down.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Brad's got quite the setup, actually.
It's, oh, I know what that is.
Play with the lights too. If you
Did you
turn
see
them
the
on, turn
starfish?
the lights on different.
The chitin.
It
Chitin.
looks really different. You can see
You know,
different.
look at this. Can you see this?
Like I did with my voice broke in teacher's classroom.
So annoying.
When my voice broke, I went way lower than this.
Did you?
Yeah, I went
You sound like a conch.
really hoarse.
Standing up might be easier, you guys, actually.
Wow, look at those. Oh, you can see the foot on that one. See it right there? Get that one in. Yeah.
Did you see this one?
Now see,
Do you have
isn't
one
that cool?
that's moving?
So all the shells aren't developing.
Good. And the
Does
tentacles,
it?
you can see the
You
tentacles?
can see the plates, you counted them?
Good.
Good, so you know it's a chitin, right?
But it says it.
So that's
But it's
poly.
not one of the 7 things.
No, there's, I don't think those are very common. They're almost always 8.
What is that? There are limpets and.
That's just cool. Let's see, we're lucky Brad's here because we normally wouldn't be able to see these. These are all marine, right? They're ocean.
Saltwater tank dive.
What?
Here's your saltwater tank.
No, we don't have one. Oh. Yeah. Right.
Have
Yes,
you looked at
yeah.
this?
So that may still have. Did you guys see my new mouse? He's in there. No, it's a jumping field mouse.
Yes, those are the hairs from those.
Oh, that's what
What are with the little tiny balls? Are those from
Beautiful. Show that to Yama.
It's air or water?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. In there?
Whoa, Emma. I see these. You can see the little.
Did you see the, the little foot coming out? See it right there? Right, I just saw that. Okay, which one now? Oh, let me see.
Naomi, do you remember when we found these?
The black fins? Oh, I think that's just kind
Oh,
of,
they're snail eggs.
Oh yeah.
that's actually waste. That's actually waste snail. You see the hole in the shell?
But what about that little creature that's
Well,
on the
the
shell?
ones that has a hole, those are the limpets, and the other ones are the.
I know, but like, and then the chin is flipped over.
Right.
But there's this little dew job that is on a shell and it's moving.
Oh, really?
Mostly it's from
Oh, let me see.
reefers. You know, I sell stuff all over the United States too.
There were some mites in
Look on
there.
it on this side.
Yeah, I saw those.
Like, one of my
Months
boys
actually
used to see.
frag up stuff and helps.
Oh, this one just scooted me.
She's actually helping. She's frag
Let's see it.
Here, can I show you?
Yeah, put it right in the middle for me.
swap meet with me. I let her. She got $80.
Check it out, Dr. Matt. He's moving.
But yeah, just you know,
Oh yeah. Oh, that is so nice, isn't it? You see a foot? How that foot moves?
Yep.
It's so muscular, you know. That's the part of the snail you eat. That's the best part.
so some of the stuff back in the day that I
People
bought
eat snail?
Yeah.
now are
Well, has everyone had a chance to look
I didn't know where.
at everything? We're going to go to the actual bivalves. So if you want to come back, we'll get a seat. Did you find all those?
keeps the nitrates down.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It's a lot, but it's just the tank is. I got some. Yeah, I got some aquapore colonies in there that are just huge. I've had my purple tank 9 years.
You like that one?
Finger looks like.
Isn't that a cool worm?
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Some of them live in tubes. I've got some. Well, here, I've got a tube. Look.
Dr. Matt,
Check that one out.
this is a worm with a
That's a
shell.
worm like this one, a bristle worm with the
And it made
shells.
its own shells.
Yeah.
With,
Yeah.
whoa. Dr. Matt, are we going to help?
Yeah,
you
we're gonna dissect those in about 5 minutes. Okay.
I was afraid of dissecting until.
Oh, don't. This is easy.
Until we dissect the frogs. I've got a
Okay, why don't we have a seat, everybody, because we have to keep moving here a little bit.
I've seen them moving.
All right. We're going to look at clams here very soon. And I just wanted to show you that the shells are kind of like bones. When you find a bone, you can see circular parts to them. And those parts are where muscles attached to the bone with, ligaments and, between bone to bone and tendons from muscle to bone. Well, you can see the marks here, so I'm going to pass this around where you can actually see the muscles that close this valve. Each one of these is called a valve, so I'll pass this around. Now here, look. If I'm a clam, I'm like this, right? So my foot is right here, and my body's down here, and I usually am like this in the soil. So I'm kind of like this. You see that? Right here is where the baby part of the clam starts. We call that the umbo. And it grows, and it makes this outside part of the shell that's got protein on it. And underneath the protein is this real shiny stuff that you call the shell, right? That's made out of prisms of calcium carbonate, like bones in a way. And underneath that is the nacreous layer, that real shiny part that you were just looking at over here. So I would pass this around, but it's been in water and it's kind of wet. But this is what it looks like. Here's the front part, and here's the back part. Here's what we call ventral, and this is what we call dorsal, right? So your dorsal is your back, is that right? Tell me if I'm wrong. Yes, like a dorsal fin. Very good. So now we're going to look at some different ones here, like these pectins. Aren't these cool? Right? So like little, you can use them as a fan. They have, these scallops have eyes on them, and they're very good, and they clap like this, and they move like this away from predators, so when you scare them, they fly in the water like that. Here's some here. These are really cool oysters. You can pass that around. It's a jackknife oyster. These are pen shells. You can pass that one around too. Isn't it cool? Here's some little clams that burrow into rock. So I'm going to pass it around, but don't drop it because it'll hurt if you drop it. Okay, you can see the little clams embedded in there. Here's some more that are eating wood. Okay, these are shipworms, so I'm going to pass this around to you. Shipworms. They wreck your ships.
Oh, yeah.
And this one, these guys are wrecking the Great Lakes. Anybody know what these are? Yes. Now you see these clams here, these freshwater clams? What's going on with these clams? What do you think is going to happen to these poor clams? They're going to be smothered by all these little larvae that are produced. And look how many zebra mussels there are. So, you know, even like 5 years ago, you could go to Saugatuck or the beach and you wouldn't see too many zebra mussels. Now, when you have a storm, you've got these windrows of zebra mussels all over the place. You got to wear shoes because they'll cut your feet. So here, I'll pass this around too. This has done a lot of damage to freshwater clams, though, in the Great Lakes. Now, I do want to tell you one thing. Virtually all the clams in the state are either endangered or, you know, in trouble. So we got to keep our water really clean to make sure that these guys can thrive. Otherwise, a lot of them are going to go extinct. Now, somebody pointed out that there's variation in shells. I'm going to pass one this way and one this way. Look at all the different colors of these guys. These are very famous kind of shell. Yeah, but they're all the same species, right? They're all the same thing. Yeah, orange, blues, reds, pinks, you know, purple. And it's all the same one. Now, Courtney and I are going to dissect the clam here very soon, but we're also going to dissect the squid at the same time because I don't want to run out of time here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go right to the squid and pass some squid around. First of all, I'll wait till you guys are done with those. Aren't those cool? A lot of diversity here, isn't there?
Look, that's what that was.
Now, you see this necklace right here? Oops. This one right here?
I haven't seen it yet.
These are fossils that go back hundreds of millions of years. Here's another one. These aren't in the same group truly as modern cephalopods, but here's one here. Look, isn't that cool? Those are straight. Those are from Morocco.
Yeah, that must be going.
And here's an ammonite. Not close related. You can pass that one down this sage over there. Wow, the ocean's really loud in this one. Yeah. What is this again? A nautilus? What's that?
They're brown and they've got little tentacles that come out. And they like.
Yeah, a lot of like 60 tentacles that come out like this. Do they have a beak?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they smart?
Yeah.
Yeah, not as smart. Are they smarter than squid or octopuses?
No way.
No, these guys,
They just float.
Well, they actually can go really deep, and then they have a way of going really high too, really quickly.
They float, go down, and they.
Yes.
So they really don't.
Sometimes it doesn't seem like they know what they're doing, but yeah, listen to this one. This is a very pretty one. And here's Max's favorite. Now, if I give this to you, promise you won't drop it? Okay. Careful. Because if you drop it, it's going to be a mess.
Where'd you get it?
Oh, this is heavy.
And here, because these guys either don't have a shell anymore or they have just a piece of a shell, anybody know what these are? You can buy them at Myers.
Oysters? Oysters?
I know what they are.
You put them in bird cages. Sharpens their beak.
It's like chalk.
I don't know.
Nobody knows?
Sharpening things?
You know when I can't go there. Sometimes your parents sit together on the couch and they watch TV and you say, oh, starts with a C. They're cuddling. Well, this is a cuttlebone. And if we look at it, you can see it's made out of this calcium carbonate remnant of what used to be the shell. So look at it, isn't that cool? Now, don't chew on that because,
It doesn't taste
I mean, it wouldn't hurt you really. I put one in for my turtle too because she keeps her beak sharp on it.
doesn't taste good.
Here's another one, little tiny squid here. Some squid are very, very poisonous, like the blue ring octopus. I'm sorry, not squid, but octopus. That's a very, very toxic one.
It's this one?
Yes, it's very
Is that
poisonous.
a blue ring octopus?
No.
It's got blue rings.
So now, I got to ask a couple questions before we dissect, okay? The bivalve, the clams, do they look a lot like the squid? Anybody? Do the clams, do they look like the squid?
No.
Why not?
They're clams, and they've got shells.
They got shells, okay. So you would say that these guys are different bodies, right? So they radiated? Well, let's go look at the different bodies on the table here, because I'm afraid we'll run out of time otherwise. And Courtney, would you like to cut the clam apart for us, and I'll do part of the squid? Or we can switch, it doesn't matter. Okay. So we're going to go around the table here now, you guys, and we're going to take apart some bivalves that are freshwater, and we're going to take apart a squid from Lee's Market, okay? You like that one, right? You can't have it. Okay, so let's go back here. You guys have to get gloves on too, just like you're in the operating room. I've got these other smalls over here. Okay, get the smalls on. You might have to get a large. Here, take a large.
I need a small.
Take a large.
I only need this small, so I'm not going to use it.
Now I'm going to give you guys jobs to do. Like when I cut off things, I'm going to have you take them over to the microscope. Is this a large too? Okay, now I need maybe 3 or 4 people over here.
I want to be over here.
Dr. Matt, are
Yep.
those 2 separate squids? Or?
Yes, 2 separate. Well, they're the same species.
Right.
So let's start over here with Courtney. She's going to take apart one of them. We're going to point out things. So somebody get over here so everyone can see. Come over here. Okay, over here.
We're cutting stuff.
We're cutting stuff with a scalpel. And you guys will be able to feel these. Has anybody ever eaten clams before? New England clam chowder?
Really good.
No? You've eaten that? Clams are really good. Now, how do they eat?
They wait for their body.
Well, they actually have a siphon that brings in, right here, they have like openings here that will bring in water.
Is it alive?
No, these are not. And they will pass it over the gills, and the gills collect the food, and they pass it to the mouth. But you know what? These guys do not have a head. So how would you feel if you didn't have a head, you just had a mouth?
I feel bad.
I would feel very bad too, and I think people would laugh at me. Not that they don't anyway, but
really think like that.
but just imagine you don't have a head. You got this big foot here. See this big foot? Okay, now I'm just going to open this up because here's your hinge, and there's teeth on these hinges here. And look, remember I told you about the muscle scars? Here's where the muscles attach. So when you say clam up, when somebody's clamming up, you know, it's these muscles that are pulling it so tight you can't open it. Now, if you're a saltwater clam, you can open it up like if you're an octopus or a starfish. You grip on here and you just pull it so hard and finally it just goes, oh, okay, I give up. And then you open up like Courtney's over there. Now, Courtney's is a little prettier, I think, than mine.
So it looks like.
But the part that she's covering up right there, that's the mantle. That skin-like lobe there, that secretes the shell.
So which one?
And you see the gills right underneath that? The gills are right there. All these things that look like little filaments, those are gills. And that's where the water goes into little tiny tubes, and it filters out oxygen, and it gets rid of the carbon dioxide, and it also traps food with these little tiny things called cilia. They're like little hairy things, and they pass it on to the mouth. So you can always tell the front of the clam by looking at the umbo. This is the first baby part. Now, when you're a baby clam, you're not living in the ground kind of like this. You are actually kind of finding a fish gills or a fish body somewhere, and you insist. That means you go into the body, and you sit there for a couple weeks, and then you drop off, and then you start to grow this little tiny end right here. And then you become a filter feeder. So you are filtering out water. That's why the water's got to be pretty clean, because if you're a filter feeder and you're filtering sewage,
Ew.
do you think those would be good to eat?
No.
No. People every year get really sick on clams that have been filtering organisms that are not good, or
Or oil
wastewater, or oil slicks, you know. They don't come back right away. So, Courtney, you took your mantle off there,
I
right?
did.
And we have the gills. There's two sets on each side. They're kind of a fold here, see them?
Where should I cut on this here?
You can cut right down the middle, like right here. You can hold this up. This is the foot. See this part? And she's going to cut right down the middle because this is bilateral, right? This is not round. This is bilateral. So you will see inside here our intestine and steady hand. Oh my gosh,
Oh my gosh.
under pressure.
Nobody talk right now. or
Yeah, don't
anything.
talk. No jokes.
So how long does a clam typically live for to go from the teeny tiny inside the gills to?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I think that's kind of temperature dependent. So the ones up here probably take a couple years before they're mature enough to do that. But in the south, where the waters are warmer, I'm not actually sure. But they don't live that long. And these are all the growth rings here. You can see these growth rings, and they're kind of not symmetrical. And by the way, here's where, see all this protein stuff? You can peel it right off. And you can tell, but the oldest clams have the most exposed, the prismatic layer here. So here's your mother of pearl, right there. See it? Isn't that pretty? And you can imagine millions of these things in a huge stack in the Grand River and Thornapple River, and all they're going to do is make buttons out of them. So they waste the rest. Not good use of materials.
Eat the rest.
Yeah, you can eat this. Look, I'm squeezing water out the mouth there.
Ooh.
See? Well, you can't see the mouth very well. It's very hidden.
Mouth is right there.
Yep. And it's got these little palps here that help push the food from these gills up here into the mouth. So it's a really simple system. Filter feeders don't need a brain, really, do they?
No.
Do they really need a head?
Just go.
Yeah, they probably honestly don't need that. Okay, Courtney looks like she's got it open here.
But they don't have a brain.
Well, you can call it a ganglion if you want, but it's not a brain like you would think a brain. They can open and close.
That's about all.
That's about it. Okay, so if you can look at that. Now in here, this is called the mass, the visceral mass right there. And there's an intestine. You can see little tubes that go through there.
Kind of cut through.
Actually, it's so weird because after that intestine goes up here, I'll just try to get this over here. It goes up through the heart. Right there is where the heart is. The intestine goes through the heart. Can you imagine that?
Weird.
So it's right in there. This is this is what's left of the coelom right there. That's the cavity. And the kidneys are down below here, and this intestine goes through the heart, not around it, through it, through the ventricle.
So like it's
So isn't that weird? So water is taken in here, goes over the gills, around here, and then it all goes out this chamber over here to this one over there. So the mantle is kind of modified right there to make this siphon here and down here. Here's the intake, here's the outtake. But I got a problem. Here's my problem. If I'm like this in the soil there, in the substratum, I have my intake water here and my outtake there. Aren't I taking in what I'm putting out?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds kind of gross. So I want you guys to think about that. They call that fouling, actually, is what they call that. But apparently, if you're downstream, you know, the waste goes down, so maybe it doesn't get too much. But anyway, I'm going to leave that open for you. Now, that's a sedentary one. That just sits and filters all day long, right? It just filters constantly. You don't need a brain to do that. But these guys over here, these guys are predators. So these are quite different. These are squid, and this actually came off. I don't know why it came off, but it did. But these guys used to be like this, right? Because this would be the dorsal part up here. This would be the ventral part, because these are from the modified foot. These are all tentacles and arms now. 2 tentacles and 8 arms. The tentacles are longer, and they're kind of modified. You can see the suckers on them. So now, I know, isn't that gross? So now I'm going to look at some of the tentacles. You're going to see little tiny teeth in here. Look.
Oh yeah, the
See that? Anybody want to hold that? Or I'll put
I
it-
would.
Okay.
I'll hold it.
Can I hold it?
Now, do you guys want to touch this?
Yeah.
You can touch it. You got gloves.
Oh, it's sticky.
Don't.
Remember, mollusk is like a soft body, right?
Oh, God.
So
It's eyeball.
we're gonna pop the eyeball, right? Okay. We're gonna take the lens out. So these arms, do you guys know how this thing hunts? It goes like this. Like, who wants to be my prey? You want to be my prey? Okay, I have my tentacles right here. I'm kind of swimming up on you, and you're not very bright, right? And I snap out my tentacles really fast, and I bring you to my beak, and I grab on with my beak. And if you're like a lobster or something, you hear this crunching sound as I bite through you. And then I have a radula that scrapes her flesh afterwards, so it's not very nice. The arms keep the prey from, keeps her stationary so she doesn't move on that. All right, now, this is kind of cool because look, these fins here are for, like, they kind of flap like this, you guys, like a butterfly wings, and they just kind of keep it stationary, or they can angle back and forth. But really, this is jet propulsion that they do. So let's, jet propulsion. So here's the valve.
Here you go. Is the male
Thank
the
you.
one with the thingies?
No, they both have those. So here's the funnel. Now, here's what happens. They take this is muscular. They take the water in, they go like this, and then they squirt it out here, and they control it by this little valve right there and over here, this collar area, and they force it out. Now, you guys have seen a hose before, right?
Yes.
If you put your finger on the hose, the pressure gets higher, and it can squirt farther, right? So if you control this thing, like let's say control my nozzle, it'll be more pressure. If I go this way, if I aim my nozzle that way, I go this way. If I aim it this way, I go that way. If I aim it down, I go, you see what I mean? So you can aim this thing any way you want. Now, I know we're running out of time here, so I didn't mean to actually do that, but I'm going to pull this eye out. Look how big this eye is.
Where?
This is huge. This is like our eye. It's got a retina back here. Let me see. You want to come over here and you can,
Do the other?
yeah.
Sure. Ciao, guys. Coming through.
This eyeball is enormous. This is the biggest eye for its size, even bigger than a whale's eye for its mass. This is huge. So here's the lens. You see it right there? Right here? We're going to take the lens. Ooh,
Oh,
watch
that's a little
out.
humor. Yeah, you got to be careful because they squirt. Okay, now see that? Isn't that cool? That's made, yeah, you can hold it. That's made of protein. If you look carefully, you'll see it's made like an onion, layer after layer after layer. So you can pass it around, one eyeball. Actually, it's a lens. So sure, you can look at it.
Your eye has a lens in it.
You have a lens too. And by the way, that kind of lens is much better for for sharp vision than say the insect eye that has a lot of lenses to it.
Iridescence, isn't that neat?
So you can, these guys can focus really well. They can see you coming, right? And they're very bright.
Griffin, you want to hold it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pop that
Now,
everywhere.
I'm going to open this up. Well,
Watch
It's really cool.
this is kind of slippery, you guys, but I'm going to try to hold this like this,
Whoa,
okay?
is that the mouth?
Yeah, this is the beak. Now, would you pass me a scissors right there?
It's
This is a kind of a gross part, but my students love this part, right?
Yeah, this is very interesting.
This is like a funnel that overshadows this beak. You see the beak right there? It's like a bird beak. It's like a parrot. So I'm going to pull this whole thing out because this leads to the esophagus down below.
Woohoo!
So it takes a bit to cut this thing out. This one won't squirt me, so I'm okay.
It's part of the
You know.
Darn.
So you just cut down. It kind of is like pulling out.
Or pass it around.
Can everyone see that?
Just feel it. It's fine. It's cool. It's really cool.
Okay, now I'm going to pull this out, and I got to be really careful because I want to keep part of the esophagus here.
Just give it to her or something.
Has everybody seen the lens?
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
How's this?
What is that?
It's the beak and the esophagus. Where's the beak? Oh,
I'm going to show you the beak. I'm going to show you where the radula is. So I'm going to cut this open here.
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
so cool.
This is the best part to eat. You fry this up.
I'm fine.
It's a little gooey. They have a lot of mucilage here to keep things functioning, as you might suspect. But wait till you see this beak here. Yeah,
That's a little stringy.
Is that the esophagus?
part of it and a part of the muscle that attacks to
small.
it. Yeah,
big
but
for an
expands.
animal.
It's really hard to hang on to this, so you guys have to excuse me here.
The beak's
How's yours coming out? Can you get yours?
I just stuck my finger in it.
Can we hold it?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to let you do.
beak.
See how big this is? Now, here's what I got to do. The radula is back here, so I got to pry in there, which is hard because this beak is really sharp. You know, I don't want to get poked. I just want to pull it out.
Whoa, look at that.
And every time I say that, they never cooperate. You know?
I don't want to.
You would think they would because they're dead, but they. Oh, look at. Now you see this thing here?
Oh,
This is how it's anchored to muscles. This is the lower beak, but feel that. I'll pass it around.
Can I see? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, it'll start with you, and then you pass it around. I'll give you guys this one. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That is so. That's so good.
That's so
And right back here,
Like, take it home.
right back here is a radula.
decorations,
No, it's
Dr.
just
Matt.
like when
Just hang
people
them
come
in
to
front
your
of the
doors.
door.
Yeah, I
They
think
sit
my,
and it just
I
goes,
think kids would avoid my house.
Yeah, your neighbors might have a problem.
Yep.
Hey, what's that?
Just hang a squid out there.
Num num. Radula.
Well, here's the radula. You can't really see it, but on this radula are teeth, and they scrape you like you were my prey. Remember, and I'm going to scrape you. Like that.
How does that hurt?
That's the sound they make too, by the way. You want to look at it?
How does that hurt?
Oh, yeah,
It hurts because first the beak hurts, and then there's this file that kind of scrapes your flesh.
How can you tell which one's
And this is
the
all muscle in
male
here.
and which one's the female?
Take that
Well,
off.
we're going to open it up and we'll see if we can find
Whoa,
a
gosh,
male or
where
a
the
female.
fuse come from?
So here,
I'm
I'll pass this one to you
Oh, they're
guys.
all folded up.
Yeah, they can.
Now there's one other, who wants to hang on to this? Okay.
Oh, we can pass
Great.
the other beaks around a little.
Oh, okay.
Pass the beaks around.
There's Bill.
Now we have a pen here.
Its esophagus is very large.
Okay. I'm going to grab Courtney's thing here, and I hope I can pull this out. But look, see this thing sticking out right here, you guys?
I didn't take mine apart.
Everyone see it? I'm going to pull this out now. I hope I don't break it. This is the, oh,
Break what?
Break it.
right here. This is the pen.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Not getting it.
Do you need to use the pen?
No, it's a remnant of the shell. Now I'm breaking it up. Courtney, I'll have you cut this.
Okay.
Maybe you can.
Here, I'm gonna pass that back to you.
Could we have a paper towel,
Just put it in
maybe?
the corner or something, so it doesn't get in
I
the way
think-
of that section.
Want me to-
I really kind of massacred that thing.
So when did you?
Can you grab it?
When it, have you like
gotta
have you ever
pull us-
had any fear of dissecting
Oh, did you get it?
animals at some point?
No.
Really?
You just got it in there with a knife and hacked?
This is-
or-
No, you
You
learn
don't
in lab
hack.
how to do it for years of schooling.
I think I got it.
Ooh.
There.
Yeah.
There's the pen. See?
Whoa!
Isn't that cool?
Like the bone.
Now, I didn't wreck it too badly.
Remnants of the shell.
But look, here's, see these ridges here? Now that matches up with the support up here. It gets real thin down there, see? And then it flares out again where the fins are. So who wants to hold the pen? Now you gotta hold it like this if you're gonna be serious. You gotta draw it like this.
What was that?
This is the pen. This is a remnant of the shell. It's a chitinous thing.
So similar to what skates and
Can I hold
rays
it?
and things have in their bodies.
For support. Yeah, kind of the same idea.
Are you gonna get
All right, now
This will be the boy.
you're gonna guess this is the boy. We're gonna find
I
out.
think it's the female.
Yeah, the female.
Okay, Courtney, you're gonna cut yours open.
You have a 50-50 chance.
I think that's one's gonna be.
They're
the
mostly
female.
digestive gland and things to
I
make
thought you
babies
said you
with.
thought it was a male.
Oh,
Once I thought
So
it
it's
was a female.
Oh,
It looks like mother of
It's just
pearl.
remnants of shell.
Well, I cut this a little off center,
why is it
but look,
It's like a bone.
Yeah, it looks like
I'm gonna move this over here a little bit, okay?
female.
Here's what I want you to see, look.
Like a pen. Get it?
You see this stuff right here? Look, it looks like saran wrap?
Yeah.
That's called mesentery.
Can I see the
That
pen?
ties everything together in your body too. Yeah, you guys can touch it,
What's the
sure.
white stuff? And
I'm
why is
gonna
it
tell you in just a second here.
Oh,
Ooh, we are lucky.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we have a male and a female. This is the girl because you can see these big glands here.
And those are the.
Well, this is all digestive cavity and digestive gland.
What's this white? When you cut it open.
This is called the nidamental gland. That's how you tell a male from a female right here. These big white glands.
is it
And these are
yellow there and
ovaries.
red there?
These are ovaries. This is all part of the digestive cavity here. And this is where they
Why is
make
it yellow and red?
they make the semen down here. And here, up here is the ejaculatory duct. And
My bare arm. You went like this.
isn't this cool? Now, I want you guys to touch this because remember, these mean soft-bodied animals. It's all squishy, isn't it?
Yeah. Why is one red and one yellow?
It's just the fact that one's male, one's female. These are all eggs down here.
Oh, sweet.
These are all eggs. So you guys are wrecking all the
What's
eggs.
the red stuff?
This is part of the cecum. This is where food is processed down here.
Can we take some eggs out?
Now I want to show you one other thing. Who has the pen?
I.
Who's got the pen? Okay, here's the ink gland. This is the rectum running right along here.
Oh,
Here's
is
the-
that how they?
Yes, this is sepia. Now watch. Wait, hang on. I'll open it up. Watch your
This
fingers.
looks cool.
This is going to be ink. Do you have any ink over there? Oh, Courtney's got a huge ink gland. You know? There.
Whoa.
Okay, who's got a piece of paper?
Can I see?
Here, paper towel.
I'll write with
Okay, you write your name right here on a paper towel. Okay, put it right in there.
Pen and ink.
I'd
There
do
you
your
go.
initials. You might run out of ink. Yeah, dip that in there.
Or just stab it.
Now, while you're writing your initials, if you guys want to bring this home, you can fry this up. You just make little cuts like this, deep fry it. Yeah.
Can we?
Or you can go to Carrabba's or something and get some calamari, the little baby ones, you know. Little.
Calamari's really good.
Oh, that's good.
Did you get your name? You're wrecking my pen. Here. Let's see your ink.
As best as I could.
Now this is a waste product actually. When they spray this out their funnel here, see this right here? You know, it kind of like a cloud in front of the predator, and it doesn't smell good, and they can't see well. I mean, if I saw that coming at me, I'd say, I think I've had enough.
They watched the video of it on.
Should we
All right.
cut open the egg sac?
Yes, we'll do that.
Cut open the
Well, the eggs, it's actually already cut open, but here, but see right here, look. This is all egg. You can probably eat this too. I'll bet you there's many cultures that eat eggs. You know, you don't waste anything, not like
Looks
we.
like applesauce.
Yeah.
Now these are
Applesauce.
the gills right here. You see this?
What's
And they have three hearts. Three hearts. They have one heart down here for the whole major parts of the body, and then they have a heart here. Well, they're hard to see, but they're right down in here. This is a little pancreas area down here. But look, everything is held together by mesentery. Look, see that?
How many chambers on a heart?
There's just three apiece for the big one here, like the atria, and there's a ventricle. But here's a gill. Okay, there's a gill.
Are we going to be able
I'm
to
going to cut apart the
open anything?
nidamental glands. Yeah, you guys can cut open some of this stuff here. In fact, this digestive gland here.
Sweet. That is sweet.
This is the cecum. You see, this is digested food. You guys want to hold the nidamental glands and the ovarian ducts? Sure. Don't drip it though anywhere. Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't watch it.
What's this?
Now here's your rectum, and it blows out right here. Look, see?
Can you cut open it? Can you
The
cut it
rectum's right
open?
here. No one cares about the rectum. And then gland. And we're going to cut this open, and I have some crackers. So if you guys want to dip in here, let's see what this looks like. Oh, digestive gland. Oh, this looks so good. Looks like chili,
Who wants this?
doesn't it?
I want to eat it.
You guys want any of that?
The chili?
Sure, you guys can feel that.
Careful, guys. Do not.
Don't put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Nothing would probably happen, but just in case, you know, you might have emotional problems later on in life. You know, so.
Let's trace it back to Dr.
Right,
Matt's
that's right.
Give me some crackers and I'll
Eating
be
squid.
good. Griffin, you're gonna
So we're
burn
pretty lucky. We got a male and a female, and they're soft. You guys feel them? Everyone feel them? These are soft, right? There's
Can we
no,
cut these open?
there's no vertebrate stuff. Yeah, you can cut them open. Here, just be careful with the scalpel. Okay, these are glands that help service the eggs that are made, give them nutrients.
Your fingers behind the fish shark.
And how fast do you guys think these can go in the water?
The other way.
No, 24 miles an hour. And you know, water is 800 times as dense as air, so it's like pushing against the wall, right?
If you had a flying squid, it would do like 50 or 60.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
It
too.
would do 60.
Probably be faster than a cheetah. So now you're going to use the intestinal stuff to draw your name? Or
No, I'm
write your
still
name?
using the ink.
Okay, because there's more ink over here. Courtney had a lot of ink there.
I could, Granny. It's not cut open. And you ruined the pen.
No, so
Oh, this is like fleshy.
Yeah, this is all muscular. It's very muscular because remember it's sucking in the water and it's pushing out this funnel right here. See?
Oh, applesauce. Cutting
Oh,
up the applesauce.
I didn't tell you guys this. Look, you see this right here?
Oh,
You see these muscles right here? These are retractor muscles. See that? They pull on the funnel. Yeah, look. Watch. I'll pull this side over here. There's cartilage right there. Pull on this side.
can't see.
Right here. See it? And there's another one over here because you got to have two because it's bilateral, right?
Right.
And here's the other one. So all you do is you're like pulling on it like this, right? So you bring in the water, you push it back out this funnel right here, the siphon, and you can aim it any way you want, up, down, backwards, forwards. So these guys are not only smart, but they're really fast, really fast.
Are they maneuverable too?
Yeah, they're very maneuverable. Yeah, they see you coming. You see those big eyes? They're watching you all the time. Like, okay.
yes, I wrote written
Max
in
is
it.
too big for me. I don't think I'll eat him today, but when I'm a little bigger,
Bye bye.
Oh, it's the
right?
funky chili.
You can, but it's all really squishy, isn't it? It's not like you think of. Well, it's eggs.
Can I cut applesauce?
You want to hold the eggs? No.
Apple. Oh, it smells disgusting.
Anyway, this is a pretty highly modified animal, isn't it? When you think that the clam over here is a filter feeder, and this thing, this is all eggs.
But no, like, there's like a line.
Well, there's oviducts in here, and there's also,
Can we cut open the
you know, part of the
skin?
cecum is back in here. You cut that out. Isn't that
We
cool?
shouldn't be doing this with the...
All right, well, I don't know if we need to wrap up everything, but at least you can see there's a huge amount of diversity in the mollusca, right? Huge. I mean, we've got those chitons, we've got scaphopodons, the tusk shells, we have bivalves, we have snails, and now we have this thing. This group here is really more closely related to the gastropods, the snails, than to any other group.
Well, look, wait, stop.
But it's
What-
really
What is
advanced.
that? What is that?
Good question. I don't know where you. No.
Is it a
well, it
heart?
might have been come from up here. It would have been right down here by the gills.
Yeah, we found it.
Okay, is
there.
that where you found it? That's probably what that is. That's probably
It's
the
a
systemic
heart.
part.
Where? Right here. Whoa.
Okay.
Give me the snippets. Here, I'll snip it off.
So did you guys like this today?
Yeah.
You want to do more dissections later?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to have plants, I think, pretty soon. And okay. Thank you, Courtney. We'll see you next time. And thank you, Brad.
Staying around to help.
Okay. For bringing everything in.
Wishing it is.
So, and thanks you guys.
You want to cut that open?
I can't let you bring anything home, honestly, but
Let's put it in the chili.
I know.
Let's dip it in the chili.
Wilma wouldn't like.
Heart and chili. Yum.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm glad you guys could come.